Marjorie Taylor Greene wrote a book, supposedly, and the book has completely flopped. Why did the book flop? I'll give you one guess. It's because people who support Marjorie Taylor Greene do not read books. This is not ad hominem. This is a movement that has grown for 20 years where they take pride in not reading books, in not being educated, in laughing off and attacking academia and higher education as worthless liberal indoctrination. And so how the hell are you going to get a group of people that prides itself on ignorance, questions expertise, rejects empiricism? How are you going to sell them a book? It doesn't make any sense. There's a Newsweek article. Marjorie Taylor Greene's book is a flop, obviously. It's not performing well. She released her memoir. Imagine a memoir. Imagine thinking Marjorie Taylor Greene has led such an interesting and brave and courageous life that I need to know how she got to where she is. I need to know what is the story on Marjorie Taylor Greene. The book is called MTG. It came out a week ago. It's a disaster. They are selling almost no copies. If you look on Amazon, there are only 8 reviews. That's it. This is my children's books have hundreds and one has thousands of reviews. And I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Look at some of these reviews. Marcia writes, what is she talking about? I was a huge supporter of her and voted for her twice, but this book is garbage. The only thing in it that's truthful is her name. Was going to buy it for family for Christmas, but glad I read it first. John Allen wrote, surprised. When I heard Marjorie had written a book, my initial thought was it must be a coloring book, but nope, sure enough, it's actually a book with words in it. Wow, thought she was the congresswoman from the theater, expected a centerfold, but she's the other one, will probably return. That person thought this was a book by Lauren Boebert. Greg writes, total fiction. I couldn't even get through half the book. Marjorie's living in a different world than most people. You can tell it stretches the truth and imagination. Why on earth would anyone think that Marjorie Taylor Greene's base would read books? And I know I know it sounds like an ad hominem. It's just the reality. Funny story. The other day, I was invited to a birthday party. And the birthday party was at someone's house who was not my friend. It was held somewhere else. And it turns out that one of the people who lives in that house is a very serious conservative. And it was an interesting thing when I walked in because I saw that there was actually a bookshelf. And this is not, you don't always see a bookshelf. Sometimes you don't notice it until you think about it, but there are people who have no books in their house, literally no books. There were a bunch of books in this house, like 2 sort of shelves. I walk over. It's Glenn Beck's book. It's, Ted Cruz's book. It's these sorts of things. And I got curious, so I picked up a couple of these books, and none of them had been read. You know how if you actually sit and read a 300-page book, as you turn the pages, the book takes on a certain feel where the pages and the cover are no longer tight. You can tell that the book has been read. None of these books had been read. And so the interesting thing is, in some cases, the book is sort of like, it's sort of like a vase you might have, or it's sort of like an image you would put up on the wall to send a signal about your beliefs. It's not actually a tool for reading and gleaning information from. And for most of these folks, they're just not going to buy a book. The evidence is, after a week on Amazon, Marjorie Taylor Greene's book has only 8 reviews, and they are essentially all 1 star. You got to sell them something different, Marjorie. You should know this by now. If you or a parent are starting to lose your hearing, you're not alone. About 48 million Americans have some hearing loss, and only about 20% of those who would benefit from a hearing aid actually use one. Our sponsor, MD Hearing, makes FDA-registered rechargeable hearing aids that cost just a fraction of what typical hearing aids cost. MD Hearing's new Neo model costs less than 10% what you'll pay for traditional marked up hearing aids. I have a close family friend who's been using MD Hearing for a long time now. I ran into her the other day. having a great experience with MD Hearing. She loves how MD Hearing has audiologists on staff to help her calibrate the device. She says it works better than anything she's ever used. MD Hearing was founded by an ENT surgeon who saw that many of his patients needed hearing aids, could not afford them. And so his mission was to develop a quality hearing aid that anyone could afford. MD Hearing offers a 45-day risk-free trial with a 100% money-back guarantee. You can buy with confidence. And if you're still on the fence about MD Hearing, they were just selected to be the hearing aid supplier for top Medicare Advantage plans. It's just a brand you can trust. Go to mdhearing.com and use the code PACMAN to get a pair for just $297. The link is down below.